right. So folks, hi everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Ben Songroth and I am super pumped to be here with you all. Really excited to lead this webinar today for Book Creator and all things that we can do to look at Book Creator in the elementary classroom. So that's going to be our main focus today. So welcome everybody. If you have if this is your first Book Creator webinar, or if it's your second, your third, or whatever, this is a great chance to learn together. So I encourage you guys to use the chat. Oh, we have somebody from Morocco in there, Italy. Awesome. So you can drop in where you're from in the chat if you'd like, but then also if you have questions throughout the course of this, there is a Q&A option that you can open up and you can ask those questions in there. And you can go ahead and drop those questions in, and either John or I will be able to respond to them. If they're more Book Creator geared, John's going to be able to answer them. If they're subject geared to what I'm talking about, I'm happy to answer those as well. All right, we have Alaska and Croatia and Peru, New York. Awesome. Marianne, drop in where you're from in Alaska. I've actually done some work in Alaska. That should be my fun fact. I've been trying to do that. So let me update my fun fact for everybody. All right, this is and all right, so I'm going to save the suspense. Awesome. She was at LKSD. That's all right. So let's get with that then. Oh, Christy's from Michigan, but in Bangladesh. Those are two wildly different places, I'm sure. So awesome. You were there. So cool. So cool. So you're going to be a part of my fun fact then. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's get going. Let's talk about today. I've got lots of resources for you all. I'm actually going to be able to hopefully share quite a bit with everybody on all things Book Creator in the elementary classroom. So let's get going. First off, like I said, today our subject is turning your elementary students into authors using Book Creator. So I just dropped a link in the chat. That's to my slides. You are welcome to use them. You're welcome to, use the resources, use the ideas. There's lots of links in here for you guys to kind of go about. There's going to be one really important link actually that I get a lot of questions asked. So I've got a link to several templates that I've made in a Google Drive folder. So I want to be able to share those with you. So that link, will get you to these slides, and then that will then in turn get you to several of the templates and the ideas that we're going to share today. So without further ado, let's jump in here and introductions. So, hi everyone, my name is Ben Songroth, and I am the lead regional education technology coordinator, that's a mouthful, for the Learning Technology Center of Illinois. So what that means is that I am, I work for the LTC. What we do is we provide support for schools and districts all throughout the state of Illinois. We're an Illinois State Board of Education program. So Marianne, when I was at LKSD, I actually worked for a company called EdTech Teacher. Now I work for the state of Illinois. So I've changed positions since I was last in Alaska with you. And I really like this job. I get to stay closer to home. I don't have to travel all over the place for work now. And I get to work with all types of districts, whether that be preschools, all the way up to working with high schools, everything in between, all grade levels. And I provide support for all of them. So my background is as a history teacher. But for the last 6 years, I've actually done a ton of work with elementary teachers. And so one of my fun facts might be that my sister is a preschool teacher. My dad is a former third grade, fourth grade, actually first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade teacher, because he taught at a K-8 school district. And there was one class that kept getting split. It was a very small K-8 district. And one class kept getting split. And so he just kept being the second teacher with that class pretty much all the way up. So when I was in my real formidable years, I was watching my dad teach several different levels of elementary, as I'm sure some of you can probably relate to. My aunt taught third grade for 37 years. So I have been around the dinner table with several elementary teachers, and also got a chance to co-teach in a lot of those classes and work with Illinois teachers a lot. So, all right, we've got Kristen from Peoria. You're not too far away. I live in Dixon. So if anybody's familiar with Illinois geography, I'm in Dixon, Illinois, which is in the northwest corner. We are famous for two things. The boyhood home of Ronald Reagan, so one of our esteemed presidents. And then also, if you have any free time and you want to check out a show that you can stream, check out All the Queen's Horses. That is also about our town, where our city accountant or comptroller, I'm not exact, treasurer, I think was her title, stole $56 million over the course of 20 years from our tiny town of 16,000 people. So that's a lot of money, and she stole it and then spent it on horses. So that's an interesting story. We're known for two things: Ronald Reagan and the largest white collar crime ever committed against a municipality in United States history. Fun things to be associated with. So anyways, my fun fact fits in with Marianne. When I was working for EdTech Teacher, I worked in Miami on Thursday and a Friday. I went to South Beach and took a selfie. And then I flew to Alaska the next Monday. And by Tuesday, I was out on a boat with Colin Stewart. So Marianne probably knows him, out looking for moose to hunt. And I was out wandering around on the tundra and took a selfie out there. So that was quite a change of scenery to go from Miami on Friday to Bethel, Alaska on basically Tuesday. I was in Anchorage on Monday. So good times, fun world. So my contact information is on this slide. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. Follow me on Twitter. Now that the Cubs season's amped up, you can finally most evenings complaining about the Cubs bullpen falling apart and imploding, because I'm a diehard fan. You can see Cubbies in the background there. And so, but during the day, educational topics get tweeted about. So it's a mixture of ed tech and sports frustration, but never anything too negative. So yeah, that's me. My email's on there too. Reach out if you have questions. I'm happy to help. So, all right, let's get talking about why it's important to talk book creator in the elementary classroom. So I'm going to actually go ahead and kind of just talk a bit about a little bit of an introduction to book creator and why I find it to be super helpful in the elementary classroom and really in any classroom. So I'm sure there's some of you that might be tech integrationists that kind of go across the range here. When I was teaching high school. My kids loved it. When I taught in the junior high, those kids loved it. When I've co-taught it at the elementary class level, those kids love it. Like, it's just this tool that really transcends all the way across age levels. And our focus today is elementary, though. We want to look at why Book Creator is so successful at those levels. And one thing that's nice is that it's available across devices. So if you have an iOS device, if you have an iPad, it's available as an iPad app, or you can also access the web version through the web browser on the iPad as well. And then it's available on Chrome through the Chrome web version, which is the one we're going to focus many of our resources on today. Okay, I've been using Book Creator since 2012. It was one of the first technology tools that I used when I, started teaching with technology in the classroom. I discovered it, downloaded it, purchased it, and I've had it ever since. And I absolutely love it. It's led me to create some really cool things with my teachers that I work with now, and then also with my students when I was in the classroom. And it's just one of those tools that's so versatile, and all the resources that I really can't get enough of it. So when we're looking at it, at its kind of basic, functions, students can create books. That makes sense. Book creator, students are writing books. So we're going to look at that today. But I think one of the things that we want to do is what do those books look like? Because I think there's this association that books are always kind of long form, or that there's a lot of words in there. And that's just not always going to be the case with Book Creator. We're going to look at ways we can kind of transform this tool and turn our kids into authors, but they're going to look different. So maybe it's not a book with a ton of text. Maybe we're going to rely on a lot of the media inserting options in there and things like that. So when the end result, though, what we can do is we can publish books. So our students, even the littlest learners that we teach, can become published authors on the web. They can take their book, or you can take their book, and you can publish it out, and they can share it with mom and dad. They can share it with grandma and grandpa through a web link. It's just really a neat way that we can take something that our students made, no matter what age they are, and put it out into the web for people to take and take in and be proud of. And that's one thing that I really like about this, is that we're allowing our students to publish to an authentic, wider audience. And it's so fun to use this tool, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But even just publishing to the rest of the class, like I'll tell a story later on, but I'll just tell it right now. A little bit of it now. I was co-teaching this with a kindergarten class, and I tell you what, kindergartners, they're super cute, they're super fun, they're super full of energy. If there's any kindergarten teachers in the webinar today, you know, I have, you know, the utmost respect for what you guys have to deal with. And there was never a more exciting moment, I think, that I've been in a classroom than when we took the book that they collaborated on, put it on the smart board, put it into read mode. We hadn't even really published it yet. We just put it into read mode, and the kids saw their selfies that they took up on the projector. Like, you would have thought that they had won a Pulitzer Prize for publishing, or like that they had, you know, become somebody. All we did was take it, put it on the projector, and they went nuts every time somebody else's picture come up. Oh, there's John, there's Billy, there's Susie. It was just so fun, and that's what this tool does. Brings a lot of fun to the classroom, but it really brings a lot of meaningful learning as well. So I want to put in there, shameless plug, when I say you can publish books, I've got a book that was published by Book Creator. So this link is in here. I'll actually go ahead and drop the link into the chat as well. It is a topic that I actually covered in a previous webinar. So if you are looking for that, I believe that's housed on their YouTube channel. In the resources page, where we talked about bringing creativity into the Chromebook classroom, and that's what this book was. It is, you know, 60+ pages of just ideas that I have, different tools and resources that exist out there to bring into your classroom. Certainly something that is not geared at one age group over the other. There's lots of ideas in there for elementary, and also lots of ideas in there for all the way up through high school. It's just all about encouraging our students to be creative, which is going to be a main theme of today as well. So, you know, even us adults can use Book Creator to publish books and be super proud of them. So, so it's something that I would encourage you guys to explore. Like, how can you maybe make a book? And you can publish it yourself, and you can put it out there. So Book Creator published this. I certainly don't have quite the design skills that they were able to do for me, and to make it look as good as it looks. So shout out to them again, as I like to do. So, all right. And I see John just dropped that chat in there, the link in the chat. So we already talked about it, different types of devices. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to do a quick introduction now to Book Creators. So I want to give you guys an introduction, show you what's possible, and show you the features of Book Creator that are really, you know, great for the elementary classroom. So what are some of these features? And I've got them listed here on this slide, but let's be honest, we're 10 minutes into this thing. Slides are boring. Nobody wants to just sit and listen to me talk and click through slides for an hour. So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to actually use a couple of different book templates to kind of show what is possible with Book Creator and creation to turn your students into authors. So without further ado, I'm going to actually jump into my library here in Book Creator. And you can see, I'll start with this, where we have my teacher dashboard. So John runs a series of webinars about getting started with Book Creator. So if you want some of the logistics on, you know, how to get going with it, how to create your libraries, how to use some of the tools and everything like that, check out a lot of the webinars that John does. You know, he'll be able to walk you through getting started with Book Creator, you know, how to do all these things. I want to point out I have the 1,000 book plan. There they are. I have the 1,000 book plan. So I've got lots of different libraries in here that are really super fun to kind of dive into and you know, explore and use. And a lot of these are all they're all different workshops that I do that feature Book Creator, and we make Book Creator a central core part of those workshops. So I've got a lot of different libraries in here. That's the way you're going to organize your students. You're going to have them in libraries. So one of the things that we do when we get this going with elementary classrooms is that we create a library for the teacher, and then we have those students join the library. Ideally, I'd love when they have the full version of Book Creator, because we're able to turn on collaboration. So one of the key components of working with elementary students in Book Creator is that ability to collaborate. We're able to teach them those skills, those collaboration skills that they get inside of the Google tools. They can also get inside of Book Creator. So, you know, we like those collaboration things, and we can turn that on at the library level, and we can turn it on at the book level. So when we add a student, I'm just going to go into my student examples here. Adding students is a lot like adding students in Google Classroom. So if you're familiar with adding students in Google Classroom, you more than likely add them with a code. You can also invite them, but Book Creator, you add students to your library as if it was your class. And so we give them an invite code. It's in the library here. You open it up, and then the students will join a library by typing in this code here that you give them. Once in, those students will show up as authors. So you can see in this case, I have Ryder, who is my son. He's only 3, so we're not going to, this is kind of his fake account, but he's in there as an author. And then also student Ben is in there as an author. And these two are now able, I can see if they're created any books yet or not. One of the things that's nice when you have a big class of elementary students and they're all working on the same book. I'll go to a library that I actually just did in a workshop last week. So these teachers, we spent a lot of time inside of Book Creator during a workshop. And one of the things that's cool is I can go up to everyone's books. I can see all of my authors. I love that the Book Creator calls them authors, not students. They're authors. And I can say, you know what, I want to check out what Kelly did. So I can click on Kelly and I can see Kelly's book. I think that's super helpful for us as educators to be able to kind of narrow down, see those, jump around, find those feedback loops that we can provide to those specific students. So, that's just one way that you're going to be able to manage this. You can also add co-teachers, which is super helpful if you're, co-facilitating a class with somebody else. So just a couple of logistics to get us started. How would you get your kids in? They get in by code. And then once in, what are some things we can do? So I'm going to use my student example library here. And if you see templates that you like that I'm going to demonstrate, have no fear. We're going to go over a link for a Google Drive folder later in the slides that'll show you. I've got lots of them that you can have access to, you can download and you can use. So inside of my library, I have a view up here that I can click on and I can see all of my different books. So this is one way that we can kind of see an oversized view of my books, of my library that's up in the top right-hand corner. It's called grid mode, but more likely than not, you're going to use this regular mode here. And then you can click through all of your different books and the different, these are all different examples of books that I have done in the past or templates that I like to show. A lot of them we're going to feature here today. So your students can either create from a template or they can create their own new book. Okay, so that's kind of up to you. It's up to the activity that you're going to do with your students. When you do create a new book, you have several different shapes that you can choose from, including comic book shapes. So I bring this up in the elementary one because I think it really depends on your students on what form you're going to ask them to complete it in. For me, the younger the learner, I want less clicks. I want fewer clicks for them to get to, my end result. So one of the things that happens is if I choose comic book, I get lots of really, engaging like stickers, and I get, different patterns, and I get, comic book panels that I can put in there, and they're super fun. But I also get something that inside of a comic book, which I believe this is, when I click the plus sign, I get a comics that it immediately defaults to comics. And while this is great, sometimes with like kindergartners, I actually want one fewer click. So I might choose, instead of a comic book, I might choose a new book and just choose one of the plain books up here. And then when I click the plus sign, it goes right to media, which is where we're going to really bring in and import all of our stuff for Book Creator. So this is where we're going to create from. And you still get the shapes. So you still get shapes. I know elementary is great for using shapes. Still get some thought bubbles and things that you can get in the comic book area. But I like this for the littles, kindergarten, first grade, maybe especially when we're just getting them started with Book Creator. It's one less click for them to find what we want them to import. So just something I wanted to kind of share off the bat in order to kind of give you an idea of class management and getting your kids started with this. So I'm going to actually go ahead and delete this book. We're going to use one of my other templates. So click on the book options and delete my book. And here we go. So one activity that I'll show later on that's a great introduction to Book Creator is creating an All About Me book. But I actually made one just today that I wanted to kind of do right now because, I wanted to show John something different. John's been watching me now for several webinars, and I think we've done the All About Me one a couple of times. So I thought we'd mix it up. We'd put a little more elementary spin on it. And something to keep in mind here, what I like to talk about with teachers is, especially when we're talking about, the difference between a first grader and a high school sophomore. Having taught high school sophomores and been in first grade classrooms, I can tell you sometimes there's no difference at all. They whine about the same, they complain about the same, except first graders are just, they're a little more forgiving in the long run and they don't hold a grudge as often, I feel like. But anyways, it's all about scalability. Okay, so even in this case, we're actually going to work from this book template, this alphabet book template that I made, and kind of show all the features of Book Creator in there. And even this is something that's scalable, right? So as we're going through this, I'd like to have your wheels kind of churning as to what this looks like and how you might be able to ramp some of these things up inside of your own classroom. So if you're not somebody that's going to be teaching the alphabet, because maybe you teach like fourth grade, you can still use this type of stuff, this type of book with those fourth graders. But I thought this would be a fun one. So in place of messing up my template that I made, I'm actually going to make a copy of this book. So one of the things that I like to show teachers is, or tell teachers, when you're making a book, okay, so you're going to get, as a teacher, you're going to get a My Books library, and then you're going to have your student libraries. And what I like to do is I like to make my books that I'm going to have my students also make or create from. I'm going to make them in My Books, and then I'm going to copy them over into the student library for my students to make an additional copy of. That way I've always got my original. I don't have to worry about it, getting messed up or making a wrong copy or turning on collaboration on it or something. It's just a good place to keep kind of your books housed in your My Books library and then drop them into other libraries. So in that case, right here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a copy of this book. So this is how your kids would make copies of books. You could put the template in. This looks the same for the student on the student perspective, but you can click Book Options down here, and then you have the option to copy a book. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And in this case, I'm actually going to drop it into my Books library. So when it comes in with this copy. So I always like to have teachers say, hey, immediately go down, change the name, have your students change the name. Otherwise, you're going to get 25 copies of the same, maybe 25 kids. They're all going to have copy of a new book or copy of alphabet book. Like, it's going to say that same thing. So we're going to change this name. So Ben's ABCs. Okay. And when we're in here, now we're going to go ahead and jump into the book and we're going to edit it. So click in. Now I'm editing it. So just like that, able to click that little book options button. And one thing I want to point out again, this is one of the things that's great about Book Creator for littles is that it's very icon based. So you can call this the book options button with teachers, but when you're with students, you can say, click the 3 books in the bottom center part of your screen, and they'll be able to see 3 books, bottom center part of the screen. Click on it, and then, okay, click the book, the one that has the 2 squares on it. So very icon heavy, very much something that you can instruct your students on so that way they can see it. So I just want to point that out, even at this part of, the process of Book Creator, right? So we have now our own copy. And at this point, we've got, just something very generic. There's nothing super special about this book. It's a very blank template that you guys could take after this and kind of expand on it all you want. But I want to show you why there's the features of Book Creator that are great for our elementary, great for our littles. So here we've got just an image that I brought in. And then up here, this is our text. Okay, so one of the great things about Book Creator is you can bring in text. You got to write a book, so you need text for that, right? So I brought this in. This is actually text here, and then I just use title. And I did use a comic book template for this, so I kind of broke my own rule, but I wanted to be able to show you all the cool comic book features too. So this is just title text, and for the student to change it, all they've got to do is just double click. So they double click on it. Now they can delete student, type in their name, and now they've got their title. So you see, I kind of set this all up for them ahead of time to try and make it as easy as possible. You'll see that in a lot of my other templates as well. So now we're going to go to the next page. And now we've just got a very kind of generic alphabet book. So this is where you as a teacher can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. If I go to the Pages tab, I did that kind of fast. Up here in the top left-hand corner, you have the Pages button. That's going to give you this outline of your entire book. So you can see all the different pages that you have in the book. So you can see I put in all of the letters to the alphabet. This is something that you could pre-make, or even maybe depending on where your students are at, have them do it. Like when you go into the actual page here, this is simply just a text box. Okay, so this is a normal text box that I put in. I went plus sign, text, and then text. And then when I bring up a text box, I have the chance to now add my text. So I just typed in big A, little a, what begins with A, Annie's alligator, A. Again, I have a 3-year-old. We read a lot of Dr. Seuss. So that got Seuss on the brain all the time, pretty much. So I type in my big A, my little a, and see, that looks a lot different than this one. And this is one thing to talk to your students about. This is good for you to know, good for your students to know. Anytime you want to change something in Book Creator, you want to make it bigger, you want to change the font, you can't really do it. You can't do it except for bold, italic, and underline from this text box here. What you're going to do is go up to have it highlighted, go up to the I, the inspector. You can see if you hover over top of it, it'll tell you. There it is. You can kind of see it. I'm pointing at my screen. Nobody can see me point, but you can see it says inspector. And then that's going to now allow me to change my font sizes. So I merely did that, went over here, drug my slider across, made my letters bigger, changed my font to a different color, and now I have my defaults. And then as a teacher, I want to speed this process up. I don't want to have to do this over and over and over again. So I went into Pages, and then on the 3 dots, simply copied another page, and then went into that one, changed this to B, and we had our next page. Copy, 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 copy 27 times down the alphabet, and then went in and just updated it. It took me very little time to do that. So when I did the copy, that ensured that my page background came with me. So I have this fun background here, and the colors of the letters stayed the same as well. So just something to keep in mind when you want to replicate pages. It's pretty straightforward. You go into the Pages view, click on the 3 dots, and then choose your option here. So I'm going to delete this because we don't need 2 A's. And let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that we can do. So in this book, what I want my kids to do is find something with the letter A. So I maybe want them to do an image search in this case. So we can go to the plus sign, go to media, and then they're going to choose, why I'm highlighted there. There we go. They're going to choose import. Okay, so what they're going to do from import is they're going to be able to do a Google image search. Okay, so they can type in, you know, the letter A if they wanted to. They can type in if they know an animal that begins with A, they can bring that in. So we can look for an alligator. And now we have all this Google image search that we can now click on. He looks menacing. Select it. And then we can resize it down by just clicking on those. And now we have our A. Maybe we want our students to then describe the alligator. So there's a couple of ways that they can do this. Well, there's many ways. That's one of the great things about Book Creator. Voice and choice with how they can then reply or respond inside of the page. So for me, a couple of options. Maybe the first one I want to do is text. So even my littlest learners can do this. Plus sign, text, text. And then when we get to this spot here, if they don't know how to type in alligator, but they can use the microphone. So there is speech to text. So they can click on the microphone, alligator, hit the stop sign, or the stop button. And then now we've got alligator. They just had to say it and then hit done. And now they've got their text that they can go in and inspect. And then they can just hit the plus sign, or they can drag it over and drop it in. So John just dropped in there, speech to text available in 20 languages. So that's awesome. To change that, since he just dropped that in, go to the text button. And then when you hit the microphone, there's going to be a drop down window here to switch languages. So you can see lots of different languages available to switch from. So asked about Arabic. I believe Arabic's in there. John, can you confirm? Yes. Yep. So it sure is. All right. So you can do speech to text. I love that for littles, you know, a way that they can actually write a book. They can also put their punctuation in. So if you're working on grammar, they can say period, period would show up. You can say comma, comma will show up. So it's that very good speech to text there. Okay. So that's one way we want them to respond. Okay, so then we go to next one. So let's go to B. Okay, so we go into B. Now we want to go in. We want to say, all right, I want to find something that begins with B. And instead of Barber Baby Bubbles and a Bumblebee, Seuss, anyways, I'm a nerd. I just like to, be saying nerdy things sometimes. Instead of importing in somebody else's picture, maybe let's look at how we can leverage the camera. So we can go to the camera. Our camera turns on, and then we can grab a ball. So our students have a ball, and they can take a picture of their baseball, or any ball for that matter, use it. And now they've used their own picture in place of having to go out to the Google machine and try to find a picture of a ball. So they can kind of, go about their own way, finding their own things, dropping them in. I love this for all sorts of activities, not just like an alphabet book, but like kids can hold up their notes. So maybe you're having them practice writing their letters. So I actually have a legal pad here. So I'm going to have my students draw their letters. So we'll draw a B and another B. And I remember my first grade teacher telling my parents that I held the pen wrong and that I wouldn't have good handwriting. Well, I'll let you guys be the judge of that and see how that held up. Camera. Take picture. And now we have our own students' handwriting in the book. So it's not just the fact that we can go out and find other things. Think about merging and marrying like the written form with the digital form, especially if you're in a remote learning situation. Your kids are not in your classroom, maybe that happens. Maybe you want to go ahead and have them practice something and upload it so you can look at it. They can drop it in the book. I've got some other really cool examples of that we'll show in a little bit. So that's one way that I really like this, bringing in that camera, allowing them to kind of experiment with, taking pictures of things, dropping themselves in there, taking selfies. That was one thing that those kindergartners loved. I had them take a selfie. As soon as their face appeared on the book, they all went, ah, look at me. Like they had never seen themselves before. It was hilarious. Super, super funny. So, all right. So let's go on to the next thing. What else can we do with this? I'm actually going to stay at B because I'm looking around my desk right now and I realized I didn't plan very well to find something with a C. So in that, actually, I got something really good here. So we're going to go to pages and we're going to jump down to S. So at S now, what am I going to do? Why did I do that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and do the plus sign, media, and we're going to go back to the camera. And this time we're going to record a video because what I like about this is the kids can also record themselves. So there's two ways they can record themselves. They can record a video directly inside of their book, or they can record audio. So in this case, we're going to record a video. This page is the letter S. S stands for snitch. This is a golden snitch. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I got this, and it's one of my favorite things that I keep on my desk. I was able to catch it and never let it go. My kids used to hide my snitch from me all the time. One time, if any Office fans are out there, they actually stole it from me. It was gone overnight. I came back, I opened up my desk drawer, and they had put it in Jell-O as if they were Jim Halpert and I was Dwight Schrute. That was interesting. Then I had to clean my snitch off. So, all right. So I'm going to use my video here. And now I have my video that's inside of my book. So your kids can record themselves. They could hold up their paper. They could hold up that, their worksheet, talk through their writing if they did, talk through their artwork that they did, anything like that. So that's a really cool way to drop that in. I like having this idea for like interviewing somebody, opening up their Chromebooks, using that camera, talking to their classmate about what they just studied on that particular page. One teacher I worked with did reading buddies. And so at the beginning of the year, she partnered kids up as reading buddies and they had to get to know each other because it was a bigger district. They didn't, kids didn't know maybe the other kid. I think they were in first or second grade. And she gave them a series of questions and the kids had to go into the book and they did a whole class collaboration book. And the kids had to go in the book, they had to find their page, they had to decorate it together, and then they had to interview each other. So they were actually sitting next to each other, but working on the book simultaneously. With all of their classmates. And one of the things they had to do was turn on the video camera and ask each other these questions and then insert the video in. And then when they were done, the whole class had this like reading buddies book that they could kind of like learn about everybody else in the class. Super cool. So, so that's awesome for video. All right, looking around, got another one. So let's go ahead and go to I. I also hear my little guy who's 3. He likes Zoom calls. He's kind of obsessed with them. I'm hopeful he'll stay upstairs until at least the end. We'll see how mom can corral him. All right, so for I, okay, and I guess I don't have to show you this, but I'm gonna drop a picture in anyways because it'll help. So we're gonna drop in another photo. I'm gonna take a picture of my Indy the Greyhound. So I went to the University of Indianapolis. I played baseball there. So there's my Indy the Greyhound bobblehead. He is missing an ear. However unfortunate that was. In the move of the desk from upstairs to downstairs, his ear fell off. But in that picture, you can't even see it. So I'm gonna drop Indy in. And we're gonna look at another way that students can use Book Creator that's a little bit less traditional than text. So we've got the photo in. Now we want them to describe it. So in this case, we're gonna go to +, media, and now record. I love this for littles because you can put directions in for them to click and listen, or you can have them record their own voice for themselves to express what they know, think, feel, or understand about something. So in this case, we can click on the record option, hit start recording. This is my bobblehead for Indy the Greyhound. Indy, Indianapolis, University of Indianapolis. Indy was the Greyhound's name. So it comes in, I use the recording, drops in this fun bubble here, and now we have, this is my bobblehead for a recording that plays. And then you have some learners that maybe need a little extra support. Maybe they're hearing impaired, something along those lines. They need a transcript of it. One of the things that's awesome about Book Creator is if you click on the recording, go up to the eye and inspect it. When you inspect it, you can actually add a transcript of that audio recording. So we can click add transcript, generate it into English. And now it'll take a minute to just generate this. It really is pretty fast, but you can close this out and it'll process it in the background. And when it's done, it'll produce a little blue circle at the bottom that your readers can click on, and they can actually read the transcript of the audio recording as opposed to listening to it. So maybe they can't listen to it due to their circumstances wherever they're at. This is a great way for them to be able to do that. So I love all these media features. When you click on the + and you go to media, importing options in, using the camera, inserting text with the speech to text is also great for those elementary learners. And then the record their voice option. So being able to insert their own voice, making that book their own, I think it's super powerful. But there's one thing left that I really, really want to show you that I love. So I'm not very good at drawing, okay? Self-proclaimed, not an artist. So this has really changed it up. So P comes in. What's a word that starts with P? Well, maybe I want my students to become a little bit of an artist. So they can click the pen tool, go to media, and go to +, media, and then pen. And if they have a touchscreen device, they can draw on their screen. So with kindergartners, this was an awesome activity that we did. We did a what's your favorite weather book? So they just got done studying some weather patterns, talking all about weather. So what the teacher did was she created a book. She added them all as collaborators. So we had 24 or 25 kindergartners in one book. Crazy. She went and put their name at the top of every page so they knew which page to go to. And then they all had a number. They all knew their number. So she numbered all the pages as well. So that way, John knew to go to page 4. Ben knew to go to page 5, whatever. And so the kids would go to that book and then they had to draw their favorite weather. So we talked it through. We said, okay, go to the +, make sure you're in media, down to pen. And then they chose a pen tool. We showed them how they could change their colors. And then they went to town and they drew their favorite weather. And it was so funny because you had all sorts of different artistic abilities on display. So like kids were drawing, suns, and it really didn't look a whole lot different than what I'm doing right now. And so that was really cool. Then they would change the color to blue, and then they would draw some water, and then they would hit done. And now we have the drawing that's inserted. I'll show you some actual examples of that in just a second. What's cool about this is you can actually like minimize the drawing too. So you can kind of pull it around, move it around. But what I really want to show you is the pen tool with what I consider to be one of the more fun options. And that's going to be auto draw. Okay. So actually, when we did the favorite weather, I had this discussion with Dan Kemp where from Book Creator, where he was like, "Oh, they could have used auto draw." I'm like, "Yeah, but it would have lost a little bit of like the kindergartenness of it." Whereas this is like super cool. So P, we're gonna go with pool. Okay. So I'm gonna try and draw a pool because I love my pool. So we got to start with a circle. We're gonna put some waves in there, and then if you're looking at the top, it's starting to try and guess what I'm trying to draw. Maybe I'll draw another circle for like, you know, my 3-dimensional skills here. Oh boy, I'm getting a little jumpy there. But look at this. That did it. If you look up at the top, the first 3, all pools. I'm gonna go ahead and choose this one. Boom, snaps to it. Now I have a pool with a raft or 2 rafts and a ladder coming out of it. And man, oh man, did that look anything like what I just drew. So it's pretty neat because it takes what you're trying to draw, snaps it in, brings it into actually an image that makes sense. And then when you're done with it, you can actually come close this out. So that's what I want. Maybe use the fill bucket. And let's fill it up with some magic ink because magic ink is fun. Who wouldn't love a sparkly pool like this with some turquoise glitter? And now we have our magic ink pool and all sorts of fun. So, you know, you can also add your emojis. Got a full emoji library in here if you wanted to use it. You know, all sorts of really cool things. So I love this for, you know, bringing in that drawing component. Maybe the kids can't find a particular image, or just have them draw and try to, you know, have the machine, you know, the machine intelligence guess what it is. So super cool ways that you can kind of leverage Book Creator. Now, just a couple of other things because I want to spend the last 15 minutes talking about different templates and ideas to use it with your kids. So those are all different, you know, tools that I think and how we can apply them to the elementary classroom. I do want to point out the shapes library here, and any shape you put in, even the star, when you have it here, if you double click on it, oh, maybe not the star. Thought you could do the star. Square for sure. Square. You can type in it. Okay, so we can use those to star. We might have to put a text box over top of, but square. You can type in it. You can change the color of it when we inspect it. So maybe we want to change it to a transparent square, and then put a border around it. Change the border color to black, and now we have a nice box that's pretty clearly designated where we want our students to type. Okay, so just some really neat things, you know, that you can bring into to your classroom with your students. So those are some of those features. You know, what does it look like when it's all said and done? Let's see. Yep, I covered everything in there. I want to hit on a couple of import things too. So you can bring in maps. So if you're studying maps, you can bring in a map of a location. So if anybody wants to see my grand city of Dixon, Illinois, it's not much to look at. There it is. That's all the bigger it is. Here we are. We do have a prison. Woohoo. And it is a pretty cool town. We got a nice river, you know, a Walmart. That's a big deal. You know, we can get groceries there. So, you know, pretty neat here. And then you can also turn it into satellite view. And then you have satellite of the town. I select it, and you can drop in that into your book as well. So just a couple of other things that you can bring in. Make sure you are aware of that import menu, bringing in different file types. You can import those in. Google Drive files are also able to be put in. And then you can embed websites or links in there. So you can embed a link that your kids can then open up and go to, you know, from inside the book. So lots of different options. All right, let's have a gander at some ideas and some templates. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my student examples library here. So you guys saw my alphabet book already. I'm going to start. This one is a really cool one that one of my colleagues actually made and used with a kindergarten class. So they were building how to build a snowman. Okay, and this is the template for that particular book. And what I love about this idea was the teacher put in a shape. And then what the students were supposed to do was, this was in corresponding with the book that they were reading. So they were reading a book about snowmen. And then they had to actually open up a book in Book Creator and draw a snowman. But the teacher put in instructions in the template. So if you, and I think, let me go ahead and I'm going to stop my screen share because I don't think I shared it correctly to have sound. So let me do that. All right, now we're back. So in here, this is kind of their window that they can draw in. And then down here, the students, the teacher put in instructions using the audio. So we can listen to that real quick.
The first thing you are going to do is draw your picture. Touch the plus sign, touch the pen, use your finger to draw your picture in the purple box. When you are done, touch the green box.
So you can see she was explaining like how to get to that, like what to do. And then again in 2.
The next thing you are going to do is make your recording. Touch the plus sign, touch the microphone.
Again, plus sign, microphone down here. This was for kindergartners, super easy to follow along for them. So she put the instructions in there and was able to show it. So just a really neat template. And then I saved one of the examples. So this is a student's snowman that he drew. And then you can see we have his audio recording here.
What I did is I drew a ball, two brown snowballs, 2 cold eyes, and a smile, and 1 green scarf. And then I put kind of like an X snowflake and 3 coals.
So just really super cute that kid's able to then describe his snowman for his teacher. So I just really like that. Yeah, it's adorable, Jane, and there's going to be a couple more adorable things coming up. So hold on to your adorable horses because there's more coming with what your kids can make with this. So super fun. This is one of those. So this is Annie Royer. She's a teacher up in Rockton area. This was her class bio poems. Okay, so her kids, this is kind of taking the idea of something that the kids did on paper and also then transitioning it into the digital world, making one book that then you can publish out and share out to mom and dad. Okay, so this was Miles, and when we preview this book, this is what it looks like. So we have Miles talking through things, and yes, Karen, there's most of the examples are going to be available to you. Yep, we'll talk about that in the last couple of minutes. So Miles they take a picture, you can see, of their bio poem that they wrote, and then they recorded their voice reading their bio poem.
Miles, kind student, son, big brother.
Then you can flip the page. We have Ava here.
My name is Ava, who's happy, hungry, helpful, cute, daughter of Emily Scott, love of dogs and friends.
So it's just a neat way that you can make this whole class, bio poem. The kids can come up. In this case, you could do this collaboratively where like you turn on collaboration, students all are responsible for this. What I think that's what the teacher did here. Another example would be like the teacher could just have this open. The kids are doing their work. As one gets done, they come up to you, they take their picture, and then they record their voice on your machine to, prevent any confusion or anything like that. So there's lots of different ways, but it looks like with all the different, creativeness to this, that I think each kid was inside of this book working collaboratively on it. So I love that idea as a bio poem. I'm going to do the History of Me and the All About Me books are very similar. This one is probably one of the more popular books that I get asked about, template wise over the course of the last month. And this one is, I built this one, as you can see, as a way for kids to get to know book creators. So this is one that I've used in a couple of other webinars about all the different functions. Okay. So like, for example, we have like the students start with All About Me, take a selfie here. So they're learning how to take a selfie with Book Creator. Then you have your favorite food. So what I want them to do is use the insert menu, search for and find your favorite food, put it in, and then use the audio recorder to tell me why it's your favorite food. The next one's their favorite animal. This one, super fun to do. We did this in 3rd grade classroom. It was so funny because the kids would go out, they'd find a picture of their favorite animal, and then we asked them to use the audio recording tool to record themselves making that animal's noise. So you had a bunch of kids like meowing and woofing and, barking and all sorts of funny, animal noises being made in our classroom. It was hilarious. So that was the type of activity where I was really glad to be a co-teacher, because I got those kids all sorts of wound up, and then I just left. And I was like, see ya, I'm glad I'm a tech integrationist. So super cool, you know, to be able to do that. So I see a couple people asking about templates. You're going to get them. Yep. You're going to get them in about 5 minutes. So I'll show you where those are all at. So this book is great for kind of showcasing all the different ways that you can use this with your kiddos. Okay. So, all right, a couple of other ones. This is a great example of a biography book. Okay. So this one's geared towards Black History Month, but what we're actually looking at is, it's really just, you know, it can be any month. It can be any topic, like, you know, you can, but this was designed for, I believe, a 4th grade classroom. And we went in, and Elizabeth Byam, who's one of my friends, she designed this, and she went in and she made the different pages. So what the goal of this book was for the kids to go through, create a book about somebody from Black History Month. So they would go in, fill in all the boxes, you know, who their family was, any inspirational quotes, you know, any interesting facts, the next page, different obstacles that they faced. And if they just double click, they can delete the text and they can type their own text in. So this is a really cool example here that I really liked. Okay. All right. So this one, so I see somebody just asked, can you show an example of a student page? Sure. There's one right here. Ask and you shall receive. So this is a definitely one that is from an elementary classroom. They were studying animal adaptations. Okay. So what the kids had to do is find an animal, talk about that adaptation. So the student here, you can see we've got Evan, and Evan wanted to talk about guinea pigs. So Evan did some research on guinea pigs. He brought in a picture of a guinea pig. He then used the pen tool to then draw to the animal adaptation. And then the teacher put in the 2 boxes of what is your animal's adaptation, and then how does it help them? And then the student would have to respond with the audio tool. So here we have Evan's example.
A guinea pig's adaptation is its cute guinea pig ears.
And then
Its ears help it hear from far away where predators are near. That's how a guinea pig's cute ears survive. LOL.
And then when we play this to see what it looks like when it's published, you can see Sullivan picked a dolphin. You know, others are picking the wolf, snakes, zebras. And so it's just really neat that we had this combined book of animal adaptations that students were able to contribute to and build on their own. So I'm running out of time, so I want to make sure I show just 1 or 2 more books. This was a super cool Christmas wish book where the teacher had their students actually draw in their Christmas wish and then say it with their thoughts. So they drew it in, and then they were able to type in, probably using audio to text or speech to text. And then they also used the speech down at the bottom.
My Christmas wish is to spend time with my family.
And put it in. So just creates a really cool book that you could then publish out, you know, to the parents for them to be able to see that. And then this one, the last one I would like to show is that I love this example of kids creating an ugly sweater holiday card or holiday catalog. So the students, when we look at this and what it looks like, really cool that the kids like drew an ugly sweater on a worksheet, took a picture of it, put it into their book, and then the teacher templated out these boxes, and the kids had to type in their information about their ugly sweater. So then you have all of these different ugly sweaters that are available for purchase at your local retailers. So really a neat way to bring art that's on, you know, paper and pen or marker in this case, and bring it into the digital world and digitize it. So just a neat way to kind of combine that old school with new school, you know, so you don't have to worry about doing this, you know. So all right, so just real quick, couple of things. I've got a lot of templates for you. Okay, so there's most of the stuff that I showed you today is in that template library. The alphabet book's not in there because I literally finished it about like while everybody was on. So I'm going to put it in there today. It'll be in there after we're done here. So what you're going to do is you're going to be able to go to slide number 21. Okay, and I'll actually paste the link in the chat right now. This is a link to a Google Drive folder that I made and created And inside of this, there are EPUB files, okay? And I'll actually maybe update the screenshot here on the slide. So what you'll do is you'll take this, any of these templates. So there's the All About Me book, if you're interested in that. You'll download it. So you'll double click on it, download it. Don't worry about the no preview available because you're not looking at it through Google Drive. You're looking at it. You just want that file, okay? So you're going to download it. Bring it into your library inside of Book Creator. So you'll open up your library, either your teacher library or your student library, wherever you want to put it. We'll go into my books. And from here, you're going to click on the book options and say import book. And then you'll choose upload from computer, unless you're using Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer, that you can just drag it and drop it in. And then just like that, you have my book, or that particular book. You can edit it, you can use it however you like. So, so all of these are available to you. I just saw somebody ask the question about where to find the slides. I will copy and paste that link into there for you. So there are several templates in there. I think I've got, and some that we didn't even cover today. There's one in particular that I put in the slides. It was actually from the social studies webinar I did the other day, but I was pretty proud of it. I thought you guys, I'm just keeping them all in there. But I made basically a fake newspaper so your kids could become newspaper authors inside of Book Creator as well. So just a lot of really neat options. And I'll leave you with this. When you want to publish those books out, it's not super difficult. Your kid makes an awesome book, your class makes an awesome book. Click on the sharing options in the middle, publish it online, and then publish the book. And just like that, you now have a link that you can then email out to your parents, fellow teachers, anybody, and they'll be able to see the book, read the book, and have the book. So, so I see Judy puts on there, was there any attribution when you like to use them? I mean, sure, you can put created by Ben Songrath on there, but I'm, Creative Commons, like share it with the greater good. I'm not, a greedy type person. I want everything, just more power to educators. So, if it gets published out and it wins $1 billion, then maybe like, a couple of dollars, $2 would be fine with me, but whatever. Yeah, just have fun with it, use it. The goal is always to make sure kids are learning and creating. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's webinar. There are a lot of other resources on Book Creator's website, including a book that is using Book Creator in the elementary classroom. That's in the resource area there. And all my templates are on slide 21. So make sure you follow along for more stuff from Book Creator. Thank you very much for attending. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and happy to help. So have a great day. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Great feedback. So I see a question about audios of published books. Sure. So like one of the things that you can actually publish a book, and there is a read to me option. So that's pretty cool. Let me find a good one, because that newspaper one's got lorem ipsum text in it. And that's not great. So this one's pretty solid. So this is one that a student, actually, this is a history example here from last time. But when you publish the book, there is a read to me, and you can change the voice. So I noticed that Alex from the United States is not a great English voice, but you can change it to, like, I think Dan from Great Britain is pretty good.
Daniel.
I don't think there's any, thing going on that Dan and Dan are both from Great Britain, and they both have the best voice to read. But you can click read to me on this.
Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is a U.S. naval base near Honolulu, Hawaii.
And you can speed that up. So like right now it's set to kind of medium speed. You could speed that up to a little bit. So so it's not so much that I saw you can turn it on. They have to publish it and then click it themselves. So, all right. Good questions. Yeah. Thanks everybody. That was really fun. I had a good time. So thanks for hanging out with me.
Great work, man.
All right.
Let's stop the YouTube live. Oh, can you turn me back over to your host?
Yep.
There we go. Bye-bye, YouTube peeps.